Um, I'm struggling right now, having a little bit of a shame spiral. Uh, Relative to a lot of the choices I've made in life so far. I left school when I was 15, and I'm worried that that's going to impact my ability to go to college when I'm older. I really just want a hug from someone, something. I'm remembering all of these times where my disability was really obvious to people, even to other disabled people. And even to other disabled people, and how embarrassing that was. Because I'm really far on the spectrum, dude. And I don't I don't have good social skills. I don't have um a struggle with autistic naivety. That's actually a thing where I believe everything until it's proven wrong, as opposed to approaching everything with skepticism. I only know that because I related to another autistic woman who wrote a book. I can't remember what the book was called. Uh, she wrote a book, and she was really far on the spectrum, probably further than me. You know, she referred to herself in third person as a child. She once when she was an adult, she was told by a boyfriend of hers that sand was made by a machine and uh, not as a naturally occurring substance. And now it was clear from her writing how kind of disabled she was, even though she would probably be considered high functioning. You know, and it was the 1950s too, and she did not grow up in an environment that was, well, conducive to any kind of development. Her home life was extremely, extremely abusive. I don't know if I want to go into detail about it. It'd probably just make me sad. So, like, she was held back in every possible way in life, yet still, there was clearly a way that she was recounting her experiences, a way of existing in the world, a way of looking at the world, I guess, that while I would say my perspective is a little bit closer to a neurotypical's, I don't know if that's just because of my environment. Like, the thing is I feel like I could have lived her life very easily. She was about a teenager when she realized that her granddads did not deliberately die, you know? And I don't know. Well, I probably wouldn't have been that far in the spectrum, but there have been times that I've done things that, well, they're like that, you know? And I have this pit of shame in my stomach. This pit of shame in my stomach. It's been so good lately, coming to terms with the fact that I don't have to do life the way that everyone else does, but at the same time, the way that I've coped with my ex and the way he treated me is this idea of is like trying to cling to some superiority complex. And I guess it was my only way of convincing myself I deserved better. But I'm making a jump from very poor self-esteem to a superiority complex. Well, I say superiority complex, but it just means having standards But sometimes it feels like in order to, well, it's just the way the world works, is that in order to be granted certain things, you have to qualify for them, right? And my friends are telling me that I didn't deserve what he done at all, and everything that came after. But it's so hard because I don't feel like I qualify for life at all. I that I'm in any way, shape, or form fit for life. And I guess I just, because of that, don't think I deserve better. I'm kind of tired, honestly, of, like, I don't know, that it seems to be a coping mechanism. I think it's a coping mechanism where you go through something rough in life and you glow up, right? You have a glow up. Someone breaks up with you and fucks you over. You go to the gym. You get better. You go to therapy. Constant improvement. It's well, it's an aesthetic at this point. And I really love that mentality for a lot of reasons. But I don't know. I guess it hurts. I guess the mantra of earning things and always being the best hurts. And it probably hurts me because of where I've come from in life. And the fact that I'm not going to be able to do life the same way that other people do. And I wish I could just be okay with that. Really. And there was at one point when I was a teenager where all I wanted was to get like a Tesco job and have a shitty room. I didn't even have to be a good room, you know? And I used to salivate at the idea of that routine. And it only took me recently to think, oh my god, that is the most autistic thing in the world to want. And it would be perfectly fine for me to want that. It's perfectly okay for me to want. Because I was watching this news reporter who was obviously autistic, who was arguing with a prisoner on an interview. Well, arguing, but he was debating the prisoner about how prison is basically just a big giant brick mansion with glorious routine. You know? Glorious, glorious routine. And yeah. I guess I kinda relate to that. The way other autistic people have treated me is not being great either. I have been making a plan to leave home, and I'm glad I left school, even though there is a part of me that desperately wishes I did things the way everyone else did things. Does things. That I stayed, that I got the leaving, and that I left to go to college. I don't know how exactly I'd be doing college. You know, uh, I don't know what would have happened regarding that. I don't know. I feel like I'd actually be in the same situation now, not in college. Genuinely, I don't know how that would have worked out regarding in my family situation. But I've been making a plan to get out. I've been making a plan to get my qualifications, and I was thinking of doing open college, even though it'll take me longer because I'll be working and studying. I think I could do it if I really applied myself. And I'm going to have to work on my mental health so I can stick to a routine for good. Or at least better than I do when I have episodes and spirals and just don't want to get up in the morning, you know? And, I guess I should be proud of everything that I've done and everything that I've come from. Recently, I actually started to eat better again, and now my weight's finally at a healthy place. I actually have energy these days. I didn't even know that I was still holding on to some anorexia behaviors. And that is a huge, huge fucking. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm a bit sad. I'm a bit sad that these little milestones that wouldn't mean anything in anyone else's lives because they're doing so much bigger things than me. I guess I still want someone to acknowledge them, that it's a big thing for me. God, I'm so emotional right now. Fuck. Well, that's what I use these videos for. They're as much for me as they are for my 2 subscribers. I didn't even think I'd get subscribers. I really hope that this isn't some kind of thing where they watch me and I don't know, they're like laughing at me. I guess that's the bullying drama, a holdover from that. It's amazing I'm still alive. I've stayed alive and I've kept going despite everything. And life has only gotten better. And it will only get better. I've got to believe that. I've got to keep going. I want to live a good life. And I'm willing to do what I need to do to make that happen. And I don't have to pressure myself too much, because even if I don't get in as a mature student, or there's more barriers than I thought in the way of that, I can still do open university, and that's something. I've heard some employers actually take open university degrees more seriously than ones from college, because most people who do open university are doing something else at the same time, like looking after children or doing work on the side. And people have been able to go on to get jobs with their degrees from Open University. It's so beautiful that things. Hello? That things like this exist in the world, and things like this need to exist in the world. You know, we can't all follow the same beaten path, and it is just, it's cruelty to expect everyone to conform to the same path as everyone else. There needs to be flexibility in the systems of the world. I believe that so much, and I don't think anyone deserves to feel like their entire future is over just because they left school early, or they're not academic, or they can't handle the pressures of education and need to do it a different way. So I'm so glad that that's a thing, and I feel a little bit better. Just a little bit. Life's gonna continue on, but this dread is still in my stomach. This fear that I've shot myself in the foot. This fear that I might not be able to adult, that I won't be able to have the things that everybody else has, like, well, everybody else has what I assume is the majority of people, like a house and a social life and a stable income. I don't need not much more, honestly. I want the very same chances everyone else gets. I probably need to do some kind of work with this feeling, because it's absolutely ruining my day. I haven't slept in 2 days at all. I've had like a few hours sleep. I'm so exhausted that I'm shaking. I've just been an anxious wreck, thinking about how I'm going to do college and work and live in a place at the same time. I've been talking to some I have an appointment with a housing officer in a few days, and hopefully that works out. If it doesn't, though, I have a friend and we've both agreed to save for a little while and then get a place together, which honestly is probably perfect, because I'm slowly starting to feel safe around her. It with me and women, even female friends, it it can take me a while to warm up to them, especially if they're clingy. And clingy people in general scare the ever living shit out of me, men and women alike. My friend is very, very clingy, but it's also, there's a great deal of care as well. She does care for me. There was a time that she treated me very badly, but now I can see when she talks to me that she does care. It's not just abandonment issues playing into the fact that she doesn't want me to leave. There's a bit of both in there, but there is now genuine care in her words. And no, I'm slowly starting to warm up to her, especially because she actually called her out on something that she done that was a bit fucked, and she actually apologized. And I guess it meant so much. I nearly never get apologies from people who fuck me over. It would be nice to get an apartment with her. And even if that doesn't work out, I'm just gonna save money and see about work in Navan. There's not a lot of jobs around at the moment, but it's coming into summer, so hopefully I'll get lucky. Working on my tattoo portfolio at the moment. I still feel like I'm not good enough. It's only recently that I've been able to overcome artistic blocks to the point at which I can even paint without anxiety on a canvas. You know? I can actually fucking paint and draw and not get so overwhelmed with it being perfect all the time. And I'm beginning to revert back to the way I was when I was like 13. I left my old school, my primary school, hollow. I left I left primary school a shell of a human being. I left secondary school a husk. You know? I left secondary school, I was destroyed. No, I'm even talking to my sister, who I've asked her, how did I come off during that time? Like I stopped brushing my hair. I was anorexic. I wasn't wearing clothes that I liked. I was just, and clothes are a big thing for me. Like when my self-esteem is good, well, my self-esteem is never good. My self-esteem is crap. But I use clothes like how most people would use armor. It's kind of like a fake it till you make it thing, but it doesn't feel false in a way that hurts. It's like those little self-care rituals that you use when you're depressed to remind yourself that you're actually worth something as a human being. Clothes like that is a powerful thing for me to use to remind myself that I have worth as a person. And it comes naturally, and I started doing it when I was 13 because I was trying to build myself up after the absolute shit show that primary school was. I didn't have access to money to be able to buy the clothes that I wanted, to be able to pursue the style that I wanted to pursue. But I had such a strong sense of self, and it was very fake it till you make it. I had switched my personality spectrum completely. In primary school, I did not talk to people. We didn't have the ability at the time, at some points, for me to wash myself properly. I had horrible acne, and I was just completely socially inept. I mean, I wasn't diagnosed till I was 13, and no supports came into place for me. I got sent to a school counselor maybe once or twice, and he would just listen to me talk about my feelings. That's it. I would have wanted something. I'm only realizing now how autistic I am. Like, it's just so not fair that it wasn't picked up on for so long. And it was so obvious from such a young age. God, all I needed was kindness. All I needed was kindness. I feel like I could have stayed in school had someone shown me some kindness. And my life was saved by a person who I later met at Etheridge, which I also did not complete. I hated Etheridge so bad. And all he did was hold me while I cried. And that was something that I've never had. I mean, my parents did hold me as a child and hold me if I got emotional, but there were conditions like, I could never be emotional about anything that they had said or done to me to make me emotional. And, so if I was crying, if I was angry, if I was experiencing a negative emotion and it was related to something they done, you know, something that potentially they done wrong, then I was not allowed to have that emotion. So I learned from an early age not to believe my own emotions and believe the real reasons why I had my feelings. I always had to come up with a reason for why I felt the way I felt, and it is such a gross and violating experience to still need affection from the very people who are the ones hurting you and not being able to say a thing about it. Like, I don't know how many levels on which that has fucked me up. Like, it like, I wish I could explain the feeling. So, there just wasn't much emotional safety for me growing up, and there certainly wasn't when I went to school. When I left school, I feel like I legitimately just lost my mind. Not eating, not sleeping, hair not brushed, just not taking care of myself. Still not taking care of myself even now, but I'm doing a bit better. And my sister tells me that at that time in my life, I just had a dead stare. And I can attest to the fact I never felt more empty. And I feel like that's because even though when I left school, I was faking it till I made it, and I was wandering into places like with an attitude of, if we're gonna have a problem, we're gonna have a problem. I faked confidence and I faked everything, and honestly, most people who knew me back then could see through it. That I wasn't this hard. But because I was pretending assertiveness, I actually managed to feel assertive on certain things that really mattered to me. I was beginning to explore my identity and who I wanted to be in the world. Yeah. And I had an attitude of I can do anything. Nothing was going to hold me back. But then, I don't know what changed. I really don't know when that I stopped feeling that way. I wish I knew. But I left school for that reason, I suppose. Because I thought I didn't need it. Which I still feel ashamed of. That I thought that I could do life without it. That I was so naive, even though I was only 15. I remember. I remember all of the ways that my mom tried to interrupt me trying to find myself as a person when I was that young. I remember the protest behaviors that I put up because I was sick of the fact that no one was recognizing that I had a problem. I had just been diagnosed, and I was beginning to learn the words for why I was different. And still, nobody was giving me any slack when it came to anything. So actually, I sometimes let my behaviors spiral. Just because I wanted people to love me. I wanted people to love me. I wanted people to recognize that I had this thing and it was on paper now, so I thought that there would be some forgiveness coming my way. But nothing. And I kind of lied to myself that was the reason I let some of my behaviors spiral. It was partly dissociation and partly the pain and the depression that I was going through, but it was also a protest behavior. I remember everything. And if I continued on in school, I don't think I would have liked who I would have become as a person. And I'm so fucking grateful that things like Open University, things like mature student stuff, things like level 5s still exist for me to go back to, so I don't have to sacrifice all of the progression and all of the experiences I had as a result of leaving school and leaving what is perhaps the worst environment to learn people skills in. It's school. I don't know, there's just something about children, they're just dicks to each other. I'm so glad I don't have to sacrifice that for academic fulfillment and a career. 'Cause, I suppose if I had to choose, I would have chose academics, but I would never have been whole. How on earth do you make that choice? And had I grown up to do things the way that people do, I don't know. I don't know who I would have been. Would I have liked that person? I don't think so. Sad thing is that unless something interfered with the way my life was going, like me leaving and making that drastic decision, or maybe I met someone like Callum, or I don't know, I delved into this self-help world which was toxic in so many ways and was to blame for my eating disorder. Partly to blame. A big reason, but but still I learned how to be introspective. I learned about myself. I had I followed that path, I don't know if I would have continued on in life as being a person who felt like they had a soul, because I really did reach the depths of a depression that felt like I had no soul. Like I had gone past feeling sad to the point at which I just felt empty. I was completely at the point where I was functional as I could be, which is not very. I was still exercising, I was still going to school, I was still going about life, but I was empty. Completely empty. And it was I'm so embarrassed to say this, but it was a spiritual experience that made me rethink my entire perspective on life. It was part of the reason that I left school, but it was mostly the bullying. That was the real subconscious reason, was that I wanted to get away from it all. I don't understand school. For the life of me, I cannot follow rules I do not understand. And part of me cringes at the fact that I was 15 thinking I knew better than an entire system. I kind of did, but it's not about fairness. It's about this, part of me wants to shake for 15-year-old me and be like, the world is not fair. That's the point. You don't go, the grades don't mean that you're smart. The grades are just there to show that you can work. And whether you like the rules or don't like the rules, you gotta follow them to have a life. At least, I guess you do. I suppose there are loopholes, and I'm becoming more comfortable with using those loopholes. Because I'm gonna have to, But, I don't know, how on earth would I have chosen? And I guess, God, I can't even bring myself now to follow rules that I don't understand. This is the autism, isn't it? Isn't this the autism? I can't do it. I'd rather be homeless. I'd actually rather exist outside of society, living in a hole, than follow rules that do not make sense to me. And God, I need a revolution to join, because there is no way I'm getting by doing this shit. If I decide to rebel and live in the woods, I sure hope that there are other people on the other side waiting for me. Because I feel like everyone, fuck. Why can everyone do this stuff but not me? God. And I don't want to just have a room and work a humdrum job in Tesco for the rest of my life. I want more than that. But if that was all I ever had, then I don't want to feel ashamed. I shouldn't. I shouldn't feel ashamed. I know logically I shouldn't, but I do. I feel the need to prove myself next to other people so badly. That's what kept me in that relationship with a literal fucking rapist. Or whatever word you use for him, I don't know. It was rape. It was rape. It was unconsensual. It was unconsensual. It was unconsensual. I still get confused sometimes. I don't know. It was a whole thing, okay? I say a relationship with someone who was unconsensual.
Uh, oh god. See, that's the thing that annoys me is that it was such a gray area. He did ignore my consent several times. It could have been a mistake, but I know him. I know my ex well enough for me to know that there is a huge possibility that it wasn't a gray area by mistake. That he knew that this was going to be a gray area, that was going to look like he made a mistake, and that him yelling at me and shit, that was planned and calculated. I don't know if he went in with that plan in mind or he just came up with it on the spot. I also know him well enough that there is a huge possibility that even if it was calculated, he probably lied to himself to pretend that it wasn't. He really was that far gone. And part of me is so angry that he's like that. And another part of me is so sad that he's like that. I want to fucking kill him, and I want him to come to his senses. I want him to see all of the shitty shit that he does. And part of that is because I'm so angry because it hurt me, but it's also out of a strange love for him. That I want him to be better, live a better life. Because he does seem sad that people left him. That his friends don't talk to him, that relationships didn't work out, that all this stuff happened. There is still someone in there that I think cares for the presence of others. He's not that far gone that he doesn't want people around. Most most abusive people aren't really like that. They're still humans. They still get lonely and shit. They could see the sadness in him. Because he really was lying to himself about things to the point at which, it was amazing. I really don't know what, if I was a therapist, I don't know what I would do with someone like that in therapy. Like, cause you're just waiting for that person at this point to to be honest with themselves. And I don't know how long that could take. Like, there were times where I would talk to him about things that happened in a relationship and he did not remember. And I know that it wasn't just him saying that he didn't remember. I knew it was him having deliberately blocked it out of his mind to the point at which he didn't remember. I have gone dissociative. So I have been dissociative enough that I've had chunks of memory loss that I honestly couldn't get back today. I could meditate on the chunks of memory that I've lost, and I still couldn't fucking tell you what happened. I know that you can go there, but in my case, it wasn't self-generated. It was environment-based. I had to do that because of what I was going through. With Jamie, it was something that he generated. Oh god, I said his name. Oh fuck, I've probably said everyone's name at this point in my life. So guys, if you ever watched this, he'd know I'm talking about him. Yeah. He was able to self-generate that, and I kind of can understand how you could develop that quote-unquote skill. If I had to, I could probably block out things to that degree myself on purpose, or consciously or unconsciously, and have it not just be an environment thing. Self-dissociation, denial, I suppose. So, like, I guess maybe. Oh my god, I'm tired. Maybe it was all an act and he was just trying to make sure that, like, maybe it's that thing where, real actors who are good at acting don't act, they're embodying the character. And I know that because I've also had to lie, and I've told lies that I've believed in. But I grew out of it, it was the thing I did when I was a child. I felt no need to carry that behavior through me for the rest of my life, and some part of me was aware that that was what I was doing, you know? Was aware of how important it was for me to go into this, you know? I can't imagine I can't imagine what a person would have had to experience or the amount of guilt that someone harbors for them to be able to just do that naturally. Where things like projection, things like emotional blackmail, things like just that degree of sadism and control over another person is well, trying to control people is like a second nature. So part of me was still aware when I was lying to myself. I knew it was like a meditative state that I needed to get into. I don't think it was though with my ex. I think it just came second nature to the point at which where like maybe I have to consider everything he was doing was an act, but sometimes I wonder, like, I don't know, how much can you blame him? Because he truly was such a fucked up person. Like, he is someone that you could genuinely, like, dismember for their crimes. And he'd be crying the entire time thinking he was a victim and really believing himself. Maybe reliving something in that moment when he truly was victimized. So when I think about him, sometimes all I feel is sadness. That somewhere deep, deep down, there might have been a person in there, a person who could live and do relationships and friends. That person will never come out. I guess. I don't even know what I was talking about before I started rambling about this. I guess I hope against all odds that maybe that glimmer of hope that I had and shit, maybe I was right for believing in him. That one day he'll look in the mirror and he'll see himself and maybe be a better person because of it. Because there's no way that he could have gone into such deep denial if he didn't feel bad. I know he felt bad. Even if the only reason that he felt bad was because he wanted to believe he was a good person, that is still something. That's still some kind of humanity. There's still vulnerability behind that. You know? I did see humanity in him. And it's just so goddamn sad. Because when he wasn't being a piece of shit, he was a beautiful person. I loved him dearly. I loved what I thought that I saw. And as I get angrier at him and as I slowly lose my attachment to needing to talk to him and settle things and have him in my life, the angrier I get, the simultaneously sadder I get for who I saw. The smaller he becomes too, or more pathetic. It's such a strange feeling. He really was a piece of shit to me. I wonder if I can feel all of these things at once. That he was a real piece of shit, and that he had humanity, that I hope for the best for him, and also that he, like, dies in a fire. Okay, if the last one isn't true. God, I wish I was ruthless. I wish I was a psychopath, dude. I don't, but I wish I was more ruthless than I was. I'm a fucking cinnamon roll. I can't even wish revenge on a rapist. The hell is wrong with me? God. This is like when compassion goes wrong. This is empathy if empathy was a bad trait for someone to have.
I'm actually too kind for my own good. Fuck. I hate the idea that I'm just like this squishy, naive pillow that the world will drive spikes into. And I'd love to be someone with a little bit of edge, a little bit of street smart, a little bit of something. Being disabled is not fun, dude. It's not fun coming to terms with the fact that you're just gonna be crap at certain shit, and that you might not be able to do life quite the way others do. I feel so much better for talking. I feel like I've come to terms with this more. It's like a grieving process. It's something that I genuinely have to emotionally accept and process into my being. This is a whole thing that I gotta digest about myself. I might not be doing life the same way others do. And I suppose that's okay. God, I nearly believed myself. I nearly believed myself there for seconds. Kind of really want that apartment with my friend. She's really nice. So I find my avoidant attachment kicks into overdrive when she's around. I'm really scared that she sees that I'm having a hard time feeling safe with her or connecting to her, and I suppose part of that is kind of on her, but I'd say mostly a me thing. Sometimes I can tell she so desperately wants a feeling of connection with me, and there are times I just freeze up and go cold. And, in the safety of my bedroom, with nothing but a camera to my face, I suppose I can really say that I really, really do care for her. And I would enjoy living with her. There'd be times that we would send each other insane, because you cannot live within 5 feet of another human being and not want to claw their goddamn eyes out from time to time. That's just the nature of human beings. It's just the nature of any animal living next to another animal. You know? Nobody's gonna be fucking nice to each other all the goddamn time. Someone somewhere is going to argue about something dumb like, I don't know, a mug left with a tea bag in it. It'll probably be me. Yeah. But, I could see her presence, and her being around me, her presence, like, comforting me and lifting me up a little bit. Which is funny, because I'm very much the one that I feel like she relies on me, and I do rely on her. But, because of the avoidant attachment, specifically with women, friends, and family. Not men, though, because daddy issues. Fucking wish I was a bit more avoidant with men. Jesus Christ. Christ. Not because of that. What was I gonna say? She relies on me a lot more than I rely on her. I'm getting used to relying on people in general. And something I realized is that I use transaction as a way to feel safe that I can rely upon another person. I do not know why I do that. I don't know why a relationship has to be transactional for me to feel safe enough to get my needs met. I think it's because I think it's because I feel like people aren't always honest in their motivations and intentions, and I need to feel like things are
outlined for me. And the words that sprung into my mind as I was talking was so that they can't, like, surprise me, I guess, with something that wasn't in the contract. And unfortunately, I use sex and men, sex with men, as a subconscious transaction. And it's like, it sounds evil, but I don't know when I'm doing that. Sometimes I don't know when I'm flirting. I don't know when I can't tell the difference between when I personally want to fuck someone or when I feel like I'm gonna get something out of it for flirting with someone. I don't entirely feel completely morally opposed to doing this, because there have been times where I've needed to do that. Like, really, I've needed to. And I'm glad that that's a skill that I have, but when it comes to people that I really care about, that I want to have a connection with, they know when I'm doing that, and it turns them off because it's not something that you do in a healthy relationship, in a healthy situationship, in a healthy anything, really. And I'm just coming to terms with that. But it's really hard because I don't have great boundaries, and I just find myself doing it. It's so ingrained. I don't know when I'm doing it. I'm beginning to try and see sex as something I do for myself to make me feel good. And that is so difficult. Oh my god. It's really hard for me to do that. Fuck. Like, I have to actually, like, ground myself in awareness of my body in order to do that, and to stop the hypersexuality coming to the front in me impulsively, like, flirting with someone. I have to be grounded in my body and the way that I feel and what touch is okay and what isn't. I don't know why I'm getting emotional as I talk about that. It's kind of sad that I got to this point, dude. Like, I really have to take a moment and close my eyes and say, does someone touching my arm feel good or feel bad? And think a little bit about it. uh, oh god, I want to die. Stupid life, stupid boundaries, stupid everything. I'm really bad at dissociating from my bodily consciousness, from pain, from things that feel violating, whether it be emotional abuse or otherwise. I just go far, far away. I really do. I'm still kind of glad that that's something that I can do, but at the same time, it'd be nice to live a life where that's not something I necessarily have to do. And I suppose pursuing a routine that has things in there for me that I like sensory wise will be good for me grounding into my body and having a sense of what's a yes and what's a no for me. I don't really know if there's anything else I want to share. I got in contact, well,
a friend of mine from my past got in contact with me, and we've been talking. I'm terrified that I'm gonna lose them because they stopped talking to me for a while. I thought that I was never gonna talk to them again, so I blocked them on Snapchat. They didn't make any effort to contact me until recently, and yeah, a part of my anxiety is me freaking out that they're gonna leave again. And this is someone I do care about. I think I'll talk more about that in another video. It's kind of an upside to all of this chaotic mess. So, yay.